günlerde çok dağlıklı bir şekilde Afrin şehir merkezinin kuşatmasına geçilecektir. Böylece hem şehre ve bölgeye dışarıdan gelenler...
Strick! No, delete.
Around 10,000 people are fleeing their homes in Syria's Afrin region. The region has been bombarded by Turkish troops, which launched an offensive 2 months ago to drive Syrian Kurdish YPG fighters out of the area.
Strick! No, delete.
günlerde çok...
Good afternoon and welcome to Tracking Italy's Arms Trade panel. Thank you for coming. This is one of our findings, and we will talk about other findings later on. So first of all, why a panel about tracking Italy's arms trade, which basically is tracking EU's arms trade? Because half of the world's leading exporters of arms are European Union member states, and first up is Italy, whose arms industry is growing, having long consolidated a place in the global top 10 of arms exporters. So weighing the full impact of this trade is complicated by the lack of available information on where this arms ends up. So Lighthouse Reports has launched a new project, EU Arms, in partnership with Bellingcat, and the aim is to fill this information void and connect arms manufacturers to the final destination of their exports using only open source investigation tools. So that's the reason why those people you see here are sitting, try to tell you what we found. And with me, there are three gentlemen: Ludo, Hekman, co-founder of Lighthouse Report; Benjamin Strick, Bellingcat Collective; and Lorenzo, Pietro, investigative journalist at Reports, Italian National TV, Rai Channel 3. So first of all, just very few information about how it works, because we want to show you our method and how it's possible to track arms, sit in your chair, using open source investigation tools, and doing this from different perspectives, as investigative journalists, as journalists who work on the ground, as investigator researchers, or civil society as well. We start using some database. Just want to tell you one of our database is the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, known also as CPRI. And the CPRI is a very good database because in the CPRI you can find military expenditure database, which contains consistent time series on the military spending of countries for the period starting from 1949 until 2019 now. And the database is updated annually, which may include updates to data for any of the years included in the database. So basically, you can know military expenditure per year and per country in local currency at current prices and with the US currency as well. But of course, we are very focused on tracking arms trade. And why? Because the transfer database contains information, and we start from this database. The CPRI Arms Transfer Database contains information of all transfers or major conventional weapons from 1950 to the most recent full calendar year. So it's a unique resource for any kind of researcher. And why? Because we are interested in monitoring and measuring the international flow of major conventional arms, and we want to check if our governments are really transparent as they say, or if they are not. So the database can be used to address a range of questions. And these are the questions we are starting with our investigations before going into more details. Just to leave on the floor these questions like, who are, first, the suppliers and the recipients of major conventional weapons? As we are working on this. What weapons have been exported or imported by specific suppliers or recipients? How have the relationship between different suppliers and recipients changed over time? And where do countries in conflict get their weapons from? This is one of the main questions we saw in this finding. A weapon sold to Turkey and used for another aim. That was the aim declared by who sold the weapon, basically. Italian government and the industry. And last but not least was the relationship between access to natural resources and arms transfers. So those are all the questions we try to answer, starting from the very beginning. And that's the reason why we are very committed on this matter. So first I want to leave the floor to Ludo Hekman, who is the co-founder of Lighthouse Report. We can tell you what's the aim of the project, how the project started, and how it's working actually.
Thank you. As Laura said, it is about tracking European arms. Maybe it's good to understand the aim of the project, to take one step back. Most people agree that you should somehow regulate arms and who possesses an arm and where you can buy arms. So, for example, you don't want people to be able to buy in a supermarket arms. You want to have some kind of checks on who owns a weapon. So we have rules for this. In most countries, there are rules for who can have a weapon. And if there are too many violent incidents in a country, you can adapt the laws so that you can control what happens with the arms inside your country. Well, if you look at the international context, there's something like this as well. Most of the countries, especially in Europe, they have domestic laws that say you can export arms, but only under certain conditions. We also have a European agreement called the Common Position that says you can export arms, but there are 8 principles you have to take into account when you do so. You can't sell to a country that is known for internal repression, for example, or that is known for external aggression, or that is known for a bad reputation in human rights, or the risk that these arms are being used in human rights violations context. The problem is, once these arms are shipped from an EU member state, it's really hard to know where these arms finally end up. So if you, for example, look at in your own country, if there are too many violent incidents, you can adapt the laws. But if you don't know where arms finally end up, there's no feedback on whether your arms export mechanism works. So we thought it's really important to know what happens to these arms. Where are they ending up? And in what circumstances are they used? To be able to evaluate the effectiveness of the current arms export control system. So that was the aim of the project. To do so, we, as said already, we used a lot of open source intelligence techniques, and Ben will tell a bit more about it later. And we also organized this in a country-by-country tour all over Europe. So we started in the Netherlands, and then we went to Italy, and after Italy, Germany, and now we are working on Belgium. And we, if you go to a country, we organize this as a boot camp. A boot camp is a temporary team of investigators, journalists, with different backgrounds, some junior, some senior, who work for 10 days on this topic. So they start with a short list of arms that have been identified before as being questionable or potentially controversial arms exports. And during the boot camp, we try to one by one find out where are these arms finally ending up. So that's how we found Italian helicopters being used in the Turkey campaign in Afrin, but also M49 rifles being sold to Bahrain and being used to shoot civilians. And there are many more examples on the website. So that's, I think, the broader context of the project. Yeah, maybe that's enough for now. Is it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was wondering if it's maybe a good moment to ask if that's clear. I think before we continue, if there are questions about this, or if the aim of the project is fairly straightforward, right? Okay.
During the boot camp, the Lighthouse Report project, hashtag AUArms, is using open source investigative methods, and one of the methods is the method that Bellingcat used. I don't know how many of you knows Bellingcat. I hope a lot of people, but Benjamin Strick is, I can say, our guru. I can use it, this word, in somehow. And Benjamin, can you explain and show how everyone who's sitting in peace on his chair could potentially become a very powerful investigator on this matter?
Wow, can't even operate a microphone. Thank you very much for the kind words, Laura. So, yeah, sure, to start with, open source. Some people think it's some sort of mysterious dark magic that people do online from these hacker types or military intelligence people. Really, what open source is going to a rock show and figuring out what instrument is making that noise, because there's so much information out there. What we really want to do is turn down the noise and find out where the sound's coming from. So with open source investigative journalism, one of the main reasons why we do it is because it has a stronger onus of evidence to hold those with power to account. This is why we do this with EU arms, it's why we do this with dictatorship governments, and that's how Bellingcat really formed itself. So what I'm going to do is, rather than talk all day, rather than show you fancy PowerPoint presentations, I'm just going to show you on my screen what open source investigative journalism is, starting with a small case study about Italian arms. I'm not going to show you this YouTube video again. Cool. I'm going to start with something really cool that hopefully most of you are aware of, Google. Hands up who doesn't know what Google is. Yeah, cool. All right, so does anyone like cooking shows here? Yeah? Cool. All right, so this is kind of like a cooking show. It's one I prepared earlier. So what we're going to do is, I'll go pretty quick because I only have a small amount of time to show you this, but we're going to get started. So basically, and I'll try and make sure that my screen stays on while I turn this towards myself, as well as the microphone. So with Google, we can just do a random site search, but really I want to start, as I said, turning down the sound and finding out where that real sound is actually coming from. So for instance, we have a cool little hacker code, or what someone calls like a Google search term called site. It restricts our site search. I want to have a look at YouTube content, so I'm going to go to youtube.com. That brings up all these YouTube results. Under this search term, we're actually looking for a guy that has been using Italian-made vehicles. He's called Al Hassan. He's in Syria. That's what we're going to search for. I also know that he was using the search, not the search term, that he was using the vehicle in 2016. So I'm going to do a custom range search from 2016 to 2016. That'll automatically give me a search result from January 1st to December 31st, 2016. Great. As you can see, that's already in purple. I visited this about 5 minutes before this presentation, so hopefully this works. This is live. If it stuffs up, I'm not as good as Laura thinks I am. So, all right, cool. So let's go to this video. When we play this video, and I won't give you the sound because it's highly irrelevant, we see our lovely vehicle there. It's the Warhorse of Syria. If we scroll around, I will cut out the irrelevant points. We have a fantastic feature in the background. I'll actually make this full screen for you so you can see it. You can also notice that right near Al Hassan's lovely nose are these 4 points next to the smoke cloud. So I'll bring this up a little bit more clear. Ignore my screenshots if there's results from Sudan. It's because I was looking at Sudan 10 minutes ago. Cool. Okay, so we have a screenshot here. Let's zoom this up. Ignore Hassan's big nose. We've got a landmark feature right here. So I'll zoom in so you can see that. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can count. We're open source investigators. Great. So what do we do with this? Okay, well, cool. Most of the time when we follow an investigation, there's so much sound and noise on the internet that we're really trying to isolate that. Most people would just assume that this is in Palmyra because the video says Syria, Syrian Army, Colonel Sahel, I'm probably mispronouncing this, Al Hassan, now leading the Palmyra battle against ISIS. Cool, so we think that's Palmyra. Probably not. If we have a look at the caption in here, it luckily says, the author of this video is during the Eastern Aleppo offensive to recapture the thermal power plant. If anyone knows about Syria at all, you'll notice Palmyra and Aleppo, very different areas. Cool. So we're given a hint on Google Earth and we can have a look at this place. Hopefully this gives me a result. And I'm going to search for power plants in Syria, thermal power plants. Shouldn't be too many. Great. Okay, yeah, so it still does work. I did this 5 minutes ago, so yeah, good. Okay, so Wikipedia. Sometimes we can't really trust Wikipedia, but when there's GPS coordinates, we can. So right click, I'm going to bring that up. Does everyone here know what Google Maps is? Yeah, most people use it to find cafes and restaurants. Let's find where Al Hassan is. So I'm going to pop these coordinates in here, bring up my satellite view on Google Maps. Again, apologies if you can't understand me. I'm Australian, so I'm born down under. But with satellite imagery, if you turn it upside down, Australia's at the top. Cool. So we're going through satellite imagery here. Oh, ignore that location. Great. We've got the thermal power plant. Now, you see this area up on the top right? Doesn't look very alive, does it? That's because in our video here, we know that the place was destroyed. It was on fire. We also have our screenshot of these 5 little pins. We can see these over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're open source journalists, we can count. So let's go a step further and let's have a look at exactly what time or what day this happened. Now, if we took the YouTube video, we would only say, okay, well, it's uploaded 18th March 2016. Could have happened any time before then. Let's find out the exact day. We do this by using a fancy application called Google Earth. Not very fancy. What we can do is we can copy our coordinates from Google Maps across to Google Earth. We take these fancy decimal points, lots of numbers, 2 dots. We paste these into here and we have a fancy animation effect. Really cool, right? So we can zoom over. Okay, cool, we've got our location. Oops, ignore that title right there. What we can do is we can have a look at this little button up here. For those of you that are interested in satellite imagery, allows us to scroll back in time. So we can see a younger version or a more historical version of the power plant. We can also see when it was alive. I call it alive, but not destroyed. So if we scroll back in a certain amount of time, 2014, if the Wi-Fi connection works, hopefully it does. Oh, the fail of open source, no internet. Okay, cool. Now we're getting some loading happening. This should be a lot clearer, but with a good Wi-Fi connection, this will show the place destroyed. Ah, there we are, it's alive. Okay, so we now know that this place was working in 2015, not functioning in 2016. We can go a step further than that. What we can do is we have another fancy free application called Sentinel Hub. I love this thing because it's free. When I started working for, well, actually before I started working, I did this as a hobby. And I couldn't really afford these fancy satellite imagery programs that some people had access to, so I'd do this for free. So what we can do is we can use Sentinel Hub. The reasons why it's handy is because sometimes we get satellite shots every 3 to 5 days. So we can narrow down our window of time. If we zoom over our area, we run a little search. And what we're doing here is also waiting on a Wi-Fi connection. Cool, okay, so we're going to have a look at our location on Sentinel Hub. Let's see if we can find it. What we're doing here and what we do in these ARMS workshops is use a lot of satellite imagery, because satellite imagery is essentially a selfie of the Earth. But it's also evidence that can't be tampered with, and it's evidence that doesn't lie as well. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to find my area, but I completely cannot find it. Again, this is what happens when you do things live and you don't have fancy PowerPoints. Sometimes it stuffs up. This is very weird. Yeah, thank you. Okay, great. So we're going to go back in time. Oh, it's a very cloudy day. Let's keep going back in time. That's the hatred of satellite imagery, is that sometimes we have clouds on satellite view. It's also really good with satellite imagery because you can know when it's a cloudy day. We're actually quite calm with working with slow Wi-Fi because it's often something that we have in the EU ARMS projects. Our last project in Berlin was out of a public library. Thankfully, they gave us a free room to operate out of, but sadly, the sad effect of having a free Wi-Fi system is that the internet connection is not so good either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up... I see why this doesn't work. Okay. Okay, minor mishap in making the eggs with the cake. So with open source journalism, what we often do is try to work as much as possible to cancel down that noise. Sometimes we do have this effect of moving a little bit slow, and some investigations are not done in the 10 days, as Ludo said, that we often focus on, and sometimes we have to take a lot longer to investigate. Again, it's issues like this that take so long for us to solve, such as just bringing up something simple on satellite imagery. Great, finally I have something on satellite imagery. God, okay. Thank you for holding in on there. Yeah. Trick number 1, putting in coordinates, cut and paste. Can't even do that. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and narrow our time. So we know the video was uploaded in 2016 March. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an early look in perhaps February. So what I'll do is I'll start with this one. Now what you can do, again, I haven't used Sentinel Hub yet, so please let me know if you see the place destroyed. Ah, cool. Does anyone see that on the screen? Does that look a little bit different to you? Yeah, cool. We've got a smoke plume. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Cool. Looks quite similar to that one, yeah? We can actually see where that smoke is coming from too by being like a hacker, even though I can't really code whatsoever. We can go to a repository of open source coding called GitHub. Again, if the Wi-Fi loads, you'll probably see a screen. Great, lots of coding. What we can do is, feeling like the hacker I want to be like, I can cut and paste this and paste it into my satellite imagery and see exactly where that burning is coming from. The reason why we do this is to actually verify points in a video. We can't just say that smoke is coming from the site. Instead, we can open up that spectrum to say, okay, where exactly is that smoke coming from? Okay, well, we know that those 4 pylons that are burning right there, that now opens up our spectrum so that we can't usually see that HTML color. Now it's opened right up. We can also superimpose this image into Google Earth, and we can start to find out perhaps where Al-Hassan, this man, is standing. It took coalition forces quite some time to find him. If we have a look up here, we match the smoke plume. If you have a look at the weather results, you'll notice that the smoke is blowing east that day. Cool. So then we can find that he was actually standing in this base, which has since been bombed. Great. So this is what we do, and this is, again, 1% of the work that we do. This was an Italian arms system. It was further used in combat because it was driven around to these locations and used in quite horrendous acts with Russian military and with Syrian military as well. So yeah, this is a glimpse into the open source work that we do. Probably the best way to explain it. Thanks, Laura.
Thanks, Benjamin, for showing one of our ways and methods to work. There are, of course, in these boot camps, people who have different expertise. There are people who have a very good legal framework, who are also reporters who are able to go to the ground, or people that have special knowledge in some languages, people they know the environment, so they could be Syrian people or people from Yemen. I mean, people who know also the places and the relation between the people working or are fighting in some areas, just to have them collect the information and working better on it. So it's just a little piece of what we are trying to do. And Lorenzo, Report is the main, the main media partner of the workshop we had in Italy. Could you explain what were the first findings in this workshop and how it was possible to reach some goals, and also how is important the legal framework? I mean, how Italian journalists can ask to the government, or if it's possible to have more data on it, more transparency. What are the difficulties you find if you need to have papers or if you need to have data to share with other colleagues?
Well, thank you, Laura. I will speak in Italian. Maybe it's useful for more comfortable for somebody. Sul punto di vista della trasparenza, diciamo, l'Italia si conferma essere anche sulle armi un paese che soffre di gravi problemi di trasparenza e aggravati dagli anni. Io vi riporto una frase di Giorgio Beretta che mi ha molto colpito. Giorgio Beretta, a dispetto del cognome, è il presidente dell'osservatorio sulle armi leggere, OPAL, che è un organismo storico con sede a Brescia e che ha dato una grossa mano al nostro lavoro. Giorgio Beretta dice che il governo italiano l'Italia era molto più trasparente durante il governo Andreotti e infatti io ho dovuto annotare un po' di nomi di documenti, di date, perché è anche difficile metterli insieme. Dunque ogni anno viene presentata al Parlamento una relazione sull'export delle armi. Questo serve ovviamente a dare al Parlamento il controllo su quello che viene, sugli armamenti che vengono esportati, e controllo che dovrebbe essere fatto rispetto alla normativa e ai limiti imposti dalla legge 185 del 90, che appunto regola l'export delle armi. Questa relazione si compone di diversi documenti di circa 700-800 pagine l'uno, che mettono insieme informazioni che sono talmente difficili da comprendere che noi abbiamo messo su un team di diversi esperti che ha fatto un lavoro preparatorio di mesi per poter identificare i casi più interessanti a partire da questi report, e poi questo team di giovani, di ricercatori bravissimi che ci ha affiancato ha accompagnato tutto il nostro lavoro, perché senza di loro sarebbe stato quasi impossibile in 10 giorni riuscire a recuperare tutte le informazioni che ci servivano da questi report. Allora, un documento per esempio è l'autorizzazione all'esportazione, che viene pubblicata dal MAE, adesso si chiama MAECI, comunque il Ministero degli Affari Esteri, e su questo documento voi trovate il nome. È un documento, ripeto, di centinaia di pagine, dove trovate elencati il nome dell'azienda, l'oggetto dell'esportazione, quindi l'armamento, l'ammontare, ma non trovate il paese di destinazione. Se voi andate indietro di 10 anni, su un report degli anni 90 voi trovavate tutte le informazioni in fila. Serve confrontare questo documento con un altro documento che invece è pubblicato dal Ministero dell'Economia, che è la tabella delle esportazioni, la quale ci dà un numero progressivo, la società produttrice dell'armamento, la destinazione, un elenco degli importi dettagliati per ciascun tipo di bene, ma non c'è il dettaglio di che cosa viene esportato. Cioè si dice che Beretta esporta 350 milioni verso il Bahrain, ma non si sa di che cosa, se sono armi, munizioni, caramelle, non lo sappiamo, caramelle è difficile. Bisogna andare a vedere, allora, per capirlo, bisogna andare a vedere il transit table, che è un altro documento che viene, insomma, un documento di transito che documenta le esportazioni, il materiale che viene effettivamente esportato. Ora, su questo, siccome fino al 2013 era ancora abbastanza comprensibile, incrociando i primi due documenti, capire che cosa veniva esportato, dove, per quale ammontare, nel 2013 hanno pensato bene di complicare ulteriormente la materia, per cui questo documento viene diviso in due parti. Nella prima parte c'è, vabbè, non entro troppo nei dettagli, comunque sostanzialmente oggi, se voi voleste capire quale armamento viene venduto a quale paese, dovreste aspettare la fine dell'esportazione. Molte esportazioni, soprattutto quelle di armamenti più grandi, quindi possiamo immaginare elicotteri, caccia da guerra, via dicendo, ma anche armi leggere, di cui l'Italia è un grande esportatore, si svolgono nel corso di più anni, e quindi voi, per avere diciamo, per riuscire a capire quali armamenti sono stati esportati in quali paesi, l'unico modo per farlo è avere il dato sull'ultimo anno dell'esportazione, per poter sommare tutti gli importi anno per anno, e solo in questo modo voi riuscite a risalire all'importo totale che è indicato sul documento del Ministero degli Affari Esteri. Quindi praticamente, se quest'anno inizia un'esportazione che finisce fra 10 anni, voi per i prossimi 9 anni non saprete queste armi a chi vanno. Potete immaginare i nostri parlamentari quale facilità abbiano, e quindi quale controllo effettivo abbia il Parlamento sul dove le armi vengono esportate. Questo è importante perché c'è una posizione comune dell'Unione Europea su le regole a cui devono sottoporsi gli Stati membri rispetto e i divieti rispetto ai paesi ai quali si possono e non si possono esportare delle armi. Noi abbiamo anche una legge che su questo è abbastanza restrittiva, appunto la legge la 185 del 1990, la quale dice che non si possono esportare armi a paesi dove queste vengono utilizzate in violazione di diritti umani o per sedare proteste pacifiche. Qualche altro dato. Allora, intanto, a dispetto della crisi economica, l'export delle armi va alla grande, è un export molto florido. Noi esportavamo a 56 paesi nel mondo negli anni 90, oggi siamo arrivati a 86 paesi. Il record di esportazioni lo abbiamo raggiunto nel 2016, sono 14,6 miliardi, e nel 2017 non siamo riusciti a eguagliarlo soltanto perché nel 2016 avevamo venduto 28 Eurofighter al Kuwait, un export molto grande dell'importo di 7,3 miliardi che non si è ripetuto negli anni successivi. Prima di parlare un attimo delle 4 storie che noi abbiamo pubblicato durante il bootcamp di Italian Arms, faccio un'ultima chiosa sulle armi leggere. L'Italia è un grande produttore di armi leggere, abbiamo Beretta innanzitutto, ma abbiamo molte altre aziende che esportano in tutto il mondo, e la legge italiana anche su questo non è campione di trasparenza, perché regolamenta, e perché questo report che viene presentato annualmente si riferisce all'export delle armi a scopo militare. Molti armamenti, come sapete, sono dual use, e questo riguarda sia le armi pesanti come gli elicotteri, che possono essere utilizzati per scopi civili e convertiti a scopi militari, e sia le armi leggere, che possono essere utilizzate per esempio con funzioni di polizia. Le funzioni di polizia non sono considerate un uso militare delle armi, e quindi accade una cosa molto, molto curiosa, che se noi andiamo a vedere i numeri sull'export delle armi leggere, noi troveremo che le armi leggere italiane esportate in tutto il mondo, di cui noi abbiamo contezza, il numero è inferiore alle sole armi italiane vendute negli Stati Uniti. Questo per avere una proporzione. Considerate che mancano 85 paesi all'appello. Certamente gli Stati Uniti sono il più grande importatore. Tuttavia noi esportiamo armi leggere anche a paesi che non sono campioni di libertà, di democrazia. Durante il bootcamp noi abbiamo isolato quattro storie. Una è quella che avete visto prima del bombardamento. Abbiamo mostrato il bombardamento di Afrin. Sì. Il video che avete visto prima, appunto, era, come avrete letto dal testo, riguardava il bombardamento di Afrin. 2 parole su questo caso, perché è uno di quei, appunto, di quei casi esemplificativi. La Turchia fino ad alcuni anni fa utilizzava elicotteri da guerra americani della Bell. Per gli amanti del genere utilizzava il H-1 Cobra. È un elicottero degli anni 60, veniva utilizzato in Vietnam, lo avete visto in tutti i film sul Vietnam. A un certo punto la Turchia decide di aggiornare il proprio parco elicotteri da guerra, e lo fa con lo scopo dichiarato di migliorare il proprio sistema d'arma aereo contro il PKK. Vuole però questa volta fare un salto di qualità, vuole anche le tecnologie. Quindi nel nuovo bando della Turchia c'è non l'acquisto di elicotteri da altri paesi, ma un contratto per la costruzione di elicotteri in Turchia, e quindi l'esportazione di materiali, di know-how, di licenze, perché nel contratto il contratto prevede anche la licenza per l'esportazione a paesi terzi. In realtà la legge italiana non è tanto dello stesso avviso, perché la legge prevede che non solo si debba assegnare licenze su ogni singolo armamento che viene esportato, ma anche sulle riesportazioni, cioè tutto il materiale bellico italiano che va in un paese il quale è, diciamo, considerabile un paese di transito, e attraverso il quale queste armi finiscono a un paese terzo. Il paese terzo deve essere comunque dichiarato dal paese di transito all'Italia, e il Ministero degli Esteri, attraverso l'UOMA, che è un organismo di recente istituzione, deve autorizzare questo trasferimento. Dunque la Turchia, dicevo, vuole esportare, vuole questa volta costruire i propri elicotteri da guerra, vuole sapere come si costruiscono. E a quel punto l'America, la Bell, che è un'azienda americana, si tira indietro, perché il governo americano ovviamente non vuole che venga trasferito del know-how bellico ad altri paesi. È lì che si inserisce Augusta Westland, oggi si chiama Leonardo. Quindi Augusta Westland porta a casa un contratto da 1 miliardo di euro per la fornitura di... Io devo leggere perché i numeri sono tanti, sono 53 elicotteri, di cui oggi ce ne risultano esportati soltanto 10. Di questi 53 elicotteri il contratto prevedeva che soltanto uno venisse trasferito finito, gli altri 9 dovevano essere costruiti in Turchia. Dove siano finiti, dove finiscano parte degli elicotteri costruiti in Turchia, questo noi in realtà non lo sappiamo. Questi elicotteri sono stati utilizzati, come abbiamo visto nel video, per bombardare la città di Afrin, che era una città. Questo bombardamento è avvenuto in un momento in cui la città era già sotto il controllo dei curdi e in realtà non c'era nessuna ragione strategica militare per bombardarlo, è stata una deliberata azione contro i civili. Quindi anche qui abbiamo utilizzato delle armi italiane contro i civili. Un altro caso che abbiamo potuto isolare riguarda la fornitura di fucili dual use, Benelli M4, sono dei fucili d'assalto, al Bahrain. Noi abbiamo fornito questi fucili in un momento in cui il Bahrain era in una situazione di relativa pace, cioè nel 2011. Tuttavia nel periodo 2009-2011. Nel 2011 iniziano le rivolte in Bahrain, rivolte che vengono sedate nel sangue. Noi abbiamo, se andate sul sito di Italian Arms oppure su Twitter cercate con l'hashtag Italian Arms, troverete anche questo video dove noi mostriamo anche l'uso di questi fucili. Siamo riusciti a dimostrare in alcuni casi in particolare l'uso di questi fucili contro i civili. In realtà non è così semplice come sembra, perché il nostro lavoro, proprio per non essere attaccabile, è stato molto rigoroso, dove per rigoroso si intende che noi abbiamo isolato dei casi in cui si vedeva da diverse angolazioni, diverse immagini girate da diverse angolazioni, che ci consentivano di vedere sia l'arma che aveva sparato, sia la persona che aveva ricevuto il colpo e che tipo di proiettili erano stati utilizzati, perché in molti casi venivano utilizzati proiettili di gomma. Quello è un caso che noi abbiamo preferito scartare. Invece abbiamo trovato evidenze del fatto che queste armi siano state effettivamente caricate a pallini e utilizzate contro i civili anche a distanza ravvicinata. E nel 2016, dopo la rivolta e dopo la condanna dell'Unione Europea delle violenze, nel 2016, quando noi dovevamo essere ben informati di quello che era accaduto in Bahrain, il governo italiano autorizza l'esportazione dei pezzi di ricambio per questi armamenti. Quindi un'altra violazione palese delle regolamentazioni internazionali e anche della legge italiana. Vedo che il tempo scarseggia. Ok, quindi mi fermo qui, poi può darsi che nelle domande usciranno fuori altri argomenti.
Thanks, Lorenzo, for this deep look inside the Italian arms trade. And we have just, I think, 4 minutes. So if you have any question, just raise your hand. And I'm asking to the one who has the microphone to, yeah, there is here a question. So.
Okay. I'm Stephanie from change.org in Italy. I have 2 questions. One is, in addition to doing all of these, committing all of these, assisting crimes, are the companies that are producing the weapons, are they actually being, is the revenue staying in Italy, or are they also using tax havens like they do in a lot of other places? And secondly, have people been held accountable yet? Do laws need to be changed here, or is it just a question of application?
We can pick up another question if there is someone want to. No one? Okay.
See, hi, I had a similar question. So if you can do any legal action against the Italian government that allows these weapons to be sold. And the other question was more technical. What you showed with the satellites, can you do also for the ocean? I'm thinking about tracking oil spills. Thank you.
Okay, let's start with the technical one, and I don't know if we have time for the third one, so just want to start to answer, if you don't mind. So Benjamin, if you want to start with the technical one, and we go to Ludo and Lorenzo.
1 second answer, yes. A little bit longer answer. So every time a satellite image is taken, like an Instagram photo, when you apply filters to make a coffee look good, you can do the same for Instagram, for satellite imagery, and you can bring out certain colors. So you'll have a satellite image that will take 8-shot lens of, say, for instance, humidity index, vegetation growth, urban development, electricity. You can also do it for environmental spills. And there was a presentation 2 days ago, I think, from a colleague of mine from Bellingcat, and also environmental specialists using satellite imagery. This is something that they're currently doing.
Yeah, about the impact, it's a really important question, but it's also something that takes time. We see in the Netherlands there have been some legal procedures based on the findings, but that was a year ago, and it took almost a year to start the procedure. In Germany, we went there in February, and there was quite some political impact, because we gave the evidence that one half of their coalition partner needed to ask for a continuation of the ban on arms export to Saudi Arabia. So there was a direct impact. Now they extended it for 6 months. And also the grounds for the ban were extended based on the findings of German arms. But for Italy, to be honest, it was pretty hard to get some response by mainly by the ministries. So it was hard to make them even reply to questions we had on some specifics. And so this is something we won't stop here. I mean, we are working on following up reports and questions. But my feeling is that in Italy it will be even slower than other countries due to the specific situation of Italy.
Okay, regarding the first question, despite the lack of transparency, Italy remains a country where with a strict regulation, also on the financial side. We know a lot about the banks used for these international transactions. I can't rule out the hypothesis of international banks, but I think this is all managed internally. I can give you some numbers about the main banks. More than 50% of all the export transactions are made by Unicredit. More than 50%. 50%. Then there is Deutsche Bank, BNP Paribas, and really good news is that San Paolo Intesa is slowly disinvesting in this field. This is known from a few years, but they now are on the bottom of this list among the main banks. Instead, there is a very small bank, Banca Valsabbina, who is still very active in arms export transactions, especially for the exports of the RWM bombs to Yemen.
I'm afraid we don't have time for to pick the third question, so we are available for questions after, and the latest for Ludo.
I just want to be really sure this is an ongoing and collaborative project. So if you think about connecting on this topic, we are really open for collaboration.
So thanks for coming and visit AU Arms.